Okay, coming up in today's video, we have yet another deck suggestion by Vegeta Ultra Instinct, and no, I'm not talking about that video from before. It's another one. And can I just say, I want deepest thanks to Vegeta Ultra Instinct for giving me yet another idea to work with. Because if I were able to sit down on my own time, which isn't a whole lot, and think of some of these myself, I mean, I can, but I would need a little bit more time to devote to doing so, and it's a little bit difficult to do that when I'm working full-time doing roadside assistance, but it's fine, because a couple of pretty cool and surprisingly loyal fans like Vegeta Ultra Instinct. Let's see, there's also the J Rubes Cubes fan, which very flattering. But I'm not trying to gloat or anything when I say that. I just want to say that as far as deck suggestions go, those two are more or less the quarterbacks when it comes to doing that. And you can go back and watch a couple of those if you feel like it, because there are some pretty good ideas in there. But I got another suggestion from Vegeta Ultra Instinct recently, and I was a bit perplexed when I first took a look at it. If anything, only because there's no trigger square in either the bottom right or the upper left. They are just non-existent. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either, it's just something I noticed. And me personally, I prefer to run a deck with more coverage. All these decks above here will more or less tell you that. But I do see what he's trying to do here. It's a pretty dang good idea, actually. The deck has quite a bit of power and speed behind it. Let's just take a quick look at the stats for them all. So to start off with, this is their base attack. And by the way, I will go ahead and mention that real quick as well. Cell is the only one in this whole deck that has all his dupes into attack. Everyone else has all that into speed. So, this is their base attack. All around pretty decent. It's a little bit lacking, but I know some of that is made up for with things like attack up A, ADM up A, plus their opposing skills, etc, etc. And I do see what he's trying to do with this deck. He's trying to more or less put Cell in charge and make him the star of the deck as well. Which I'm all for, honestly. That's really cool that this is not the usual run-of-the-mill deck you would find today's meta. And it's pretty interesting and pretty cool to me to see a couple figures that not a whole lot of people nowadays are using, just because of the slew of overpowered ones within the past 2 or 3 updates. But I've rambled on long enough. Let's test this deck out. I think we'll go ahead and do... we'll do a few that we never really show off. Let's do Android Dragon Ball Super 17 here. And mostly on everybody, except for Cell. Everyone else has attack up A, ADM up A, and ultimate gauge down every turn. And I put ultimate gauge down every turn on everybody, because while the HP for the most part is decent on this team, the defense is sort of lacking. And there are a lot of figures that can easily get through those defenses as little or as big as they might or might not be, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry for confusing you guys. But if you want to see some more really good Hero Coliseum content, I'd actually recommend Mug the Dude. I know he recently had another tournament that just ended. And now he's sparring with the winner, Son Santana, who is a very talented and very skilled Hero Coliseum player on the PS4. I have nothing but good things to say about a majority of the talented PS4 Hero Coliseum community. And just to name a couple others, of course, there's CWN, And Rock and Robo as well, if you want to catch him, he was actually in that tournament, and that was a really cool bit to watch. And while I'm on the topic of other Hero Coliseum channels, and just YouTube channels in general, it wouldn't hurt to mention Rock and Robo. I'm sorry, not Rock and Robo, I already mentioned him quite a couple times. Let's see, Raven Gaming. I already brought up Mike the Dude. And definitely can't forget about Unleashed. And I thought I'd bring that up just because last time I was doing that god-awful arcade game, if for whatever reason you want to check it out, I of course wouldn't recommend it, it's not good at all. Time killers or whatever. But, in that vid, I mentioned one of the, I suppose you could call it more mainstream YouTube content creators. I mentioned Angry Video Game Nerd. And I was just wondering what a couple of you guys are into that's mainstream, because I'll name a couple that I'm really into myself. There's, let's see, there's Swoozy. I don't know if you guys have heard of Swoozy. I think he's pretty cool. Angry Video Game Nerd, I've already mentioned him. I'll be shocked if no one listening has ever heard of Game Grumps. I mean, they're everywhere. And Dude's actually okay, too. So yeah, what are some of the content creators that you guys ritually watch when you're not watching, you know, this garbage from little old me? Just wondering. And getting back into the deck, it's definitely not a deck I would normally run. Like I've said plenty of times, I prefer to have coverage all across the board if possible. And while the deck is not necessarily, you know, bad by any means, I just think it doesn't exactly know what it's trying to accomplish. I'm not saying that as in Vegeta Ultra Instinct doesn't know what he's trying to accomplish. It's just when I look at the deck itself, I'm seeing that there's all around okay HP. I'm seeing that there's a pretty dang good speed and attack. But the lack of defenses, and the only real defense being, at least to me, I think this is the only real defense. You know, UI Goku here who can shut down opponents' ultimates. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a very safe deck to me. So definitely not terrible, but definitely not a deck I would run. If anything, I would say it's alright. I do appreciate the fact that it has a lot of power behind it. You know, I'm all for really high numbers, and especially on my side of things. And this might have somewhat been not too good of an example just for this deck, because, and I screwed up there, sorry. Because Android 17 and this free battle, he's actually got quite a bit of speed behind his figures. I have to go back and double check some of them. I know some of that is, of course, made up for due to, in fact, by Cell here. And while I'm on the topic of Cell, that's another thing I'm not too fond of with Cell, is there's not a whole lot of, I suppose you could say safety behind running him, just because both of his trigger scores are in the front, and his trigger score really doesn't kick in, I mean, like, the really broken part of his trigger score anyway, doesn't really kick in until he gets to 50% HP or less. So, I don't know. But, I mean, if this is a deck that some of you might enjoy, definitely go ahead and run it. I actually am enjoying it, it's just not something I would normally run. And no need to repeat. I cannot stress just how much I prefer to have coverage all across the board. That's just my playstyle, though. It's my preference. And while I'm on that, might as well ask a couple of you guys, what's your playstyle when it comes to Hero Coliseum? Do you try to just go for ultimates all the time? Do you try to rely on RNG, of course? I mean, it's just part of the game, you know, with, counterattacks, spirit bombs, and just high damage rolls. I mean, what's your playstyle? Do you prefer to have a lot of speed, you'd prefer to have a lot of ability to spam ultimates, you'd like to run a double Gohan strat. It's just interesting to me that there are so many ways to play what is more or less kind of a simple game. I mean, you only have 6 trigger spots, and you can only bring in 5 figures all at once. And there's only, 3 open spots, so I don't know. That does it for the free battle with Super 17, though. And if I sound like I'm out of breath, it's because I got off work not long ago, and I just stuffed myself with, what else? Spaghetti. And, the night before that, spaghetti. And the night before that, spaghetti. So if any of you can guess what I'm having for dinner tomorrow, I will shout you out in the next vid. So starting off, we're going to put Cell in the upper middle again. I just feel that it's a bit safer to do it that way, just because it'll give Cell a bit of backup. And if I lose one Bardock, I still have another one. And that's, of course, when I can put either Godku or UI Goku out. And pardon me, I'm just taking a quick look at what he's got here. I completely forgot what he's got for his stack. Okay, so he's got an 01 Super 17 here. Got an 01 Jiren. And so I have to be careful of both. Of course, those are his spots. Okay, they share the same trigger scores. Like, what am I doing instead? And you see, this is somewhat of a problem, to me at least, that I was referring to, just having coverage across the board. I got no one that can reliably be put in a trigger square in the bottom right. Or rather, not a single figure in the stack with opposing skill there. A couple of changes that I would make to the deck, if I were to try to run both Bardock and Cell in a deck along with Godku, what I would do is, I don't know, maybe do away with base Bardock entirely, because he's not that terrible of a figure, but he's not really that great either, in my opinion. So I would probably replace him with, I'm gonna say probably replace him with Whis, maybe? And then UI Goku's actually really good. That's a really good figure. I would probably not get rid of that. But if I were going to replace another figure, it would more than likely be the Cell here. I'd probably use Blue Vegeta. Or rather, Blue Evolution Vegeta. The one that I like so much. Or not even Whis, maybe. Just do Vados instead. If I were to do that, though, I'd probably get rid of... Anyway, it'd be a whole change-up. And that's not the point of this vid. I just want to show off the suggestion that Vegeta Ultra Instinct gave me. And it's pretty alright. And I'm sorry if that disappoints him. But I've seen some really crazy deck setups, and a lot of that is due, in fact, to just seeing the tournament. I'm sure you may or may not have been watching a couple of those yourself. The tournament from Dude, and there's really talented players on there. Ones that actually put in time, effort, and grinding into getting 10 dupes of all the figures they want to get, where they don't really have access to the tools that I do, because I'm playing PC. At the same time, though, that's really okay to me that I'm able to do that, because I can easily show off suggestions by other cool players, like Vegeta Ultra Instinct and J Ribs Cubes, for example. And it's a lot of fun doing this. I enjoy doing this, and I don't know, it's just really relaxing, especially after I get off of a long day at work. It's one of the things I look forward to when I get back. Unfortunately, I'm gonna lose Cell here. I probably should have tried to move him over and save him. Oh, really? I outsped. I thought for sure I was gonna get outsped by Jiren. I doubt I'm even gonna kill him. Possibly? Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought it was gonna take a lot less damage than that. And that is another thing I will really give credit for where credit is due. A couple of the people that I mention on a constant basis, of course being Rock and Robo among the dude, they are really quick at doing math a lot of the time when they're playing this game. They more or less know any time that like a figure is going to die during a turn. They know like when a figure is going to live, when they're going to outspeed or get outsped. And at that point it's just a matter of whether or not RNG screws them over. Let's see. We already showed off 17, Jiren. Yeah, we'll end up with Kefla. And, you know, going back to mainstream YouTubers, because, I don't know, that's what I feel like calling them. A lot of people, in general, just know of them. So it only makes sense to me. If you want to, like, have a bunch of laughs, I would recommend checking out this one really funny physics-based game called Heave-Ho that the Game Grumps are playing. Really funny stuff, but if I were able to improv as well as those two do, I don't know, my content might not be so garbage, but, one can only hope. Because a lot of you already know, I put, like, little to no effort, especially when it comes to editing. I don't really have the time to do a whole lot of that stuff. And I really do appreciate the people that are into this, even if even only a little bit. You know, those who go out of their way to like, share and all that stuff. But you guys are awesome, so. That's why I enjoy doing this so much. Just get to relax, sit back, and enjoy a really fun mini-game. I was about to call it a game, but no, this is easily a mini-game. I doubt that they even... Actually, no, I think this did get introduced in Extra Pack 1. You know, while I'm on the topic of DLC, I wonder when we're gonna get any news for Ultra Pack 2. Oh, it's been, what, like a few months or so now, and still nothing, not even a V-jump scan or whatever? Either that, or maybe they're just being better about not letting any of that stuff get leaked, but I'm sure someone will find a way to do so. Well, I could just be wrong entirely. I would say at the longest, hopefully we'll hear something by mid-November coming up. And I still think we're going to be getting, of course, Majub and just regular Fap Telpo. To me, it would make sense. They didn't really give us full power Jiren. They just gave us the regular uniform Jiren, which I was personally fine with. Like, I really didn't care. Didn't really care too much for Jiren. Anytime you're getting the DLC, it's usually just for more of the costumes, and more of the skills. Oh wow, that did a lot. Alright, well thankfully that's all I have to worry about now. And, you know, focusing back on the deck once more, I know that he is this more or less the star of the deck, but to get the second part of his posing skill active, he has to take damage, which he hasn't taken a whole lot of here. So if I were to do this, you know, personally, I probably wouldn't do attack up F and ADM up F on him. I would sort of rebuild the character skills around, and I would put O1 skills on him. I mean, it would only make sense. He's easily one of the really good, underrated O1 figures in the game. And unfortunately, I don't have Godku, but that's fine. I'm just gonna go for his master. And yeah, I was gonna say, either way, he should die. Oh, I'm sorry. Rather, she should die. And while we're on the topic of Hit, just wondering, have a whole lot of you been doing the raid at all with Hit going on recently, or not really? Because, I don't know, I look forward to doing that a lot with friends, personally. Of course, I've already mentioned it in my previous video with FatBrag85. Been doing that quite frequently with him lately, as well as RC. Just something a little fun to look forward to when I'm not working, or rather when I get off work. But yeah, that will more or less do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, not a terrible deck. But I would say all around not that great of a deck either. And I'm sorry if that disappoints you at all, the Vegeta Ultra Instinct. It's just from my personal playstyle. If this is your playstyle, then that's great, man. Run it. I'm not gonna knock you if it works out for you or anybody else. But that is pretty much gonna do it for the video. I will see you guys next time for possibly another suggestion. And if not, I might be going back to doing another solo vid just for the hell of it. I haven't, Actually, no, I did do one recently, and Tournament of Power Round 2. Anyway, I'm done wasting your guys' time. I'll see you guys later. Peace.